Hi, Stefan Svartling here from Svartling Network. I've been living in the post-PC era since January 2014, so around 11 months now, and I don't miss computers at all. I've been using my iPad since January. First it was the iPad Air 1, but now, since the iPad Air 2 was released, I have been using the iPad Air 2, and it's so fast. In the beginning it was quite hard to understand how I will do tasks like working on the iPad and so on, blogging, advanced blogging, video editing and so on. But after a while, when I found the apps that I need to do these kinds of tasks, then it was much easier to do. In fact, easier than on a real computer. It's iOS and the apps and the services and now also the extensions in iOS 8 that makes it easier, faster and more fun to do these kinds of work on the iPad than it was on a desktop computer. There isn't anything I can't do on the iPad that I did on my Mac before. The only thing that I can't do is using BitTorrent because Apple doesn't allow BitTorrent, but anything else I can do on the iPad. Recently I solved one of the last things that I couldn't do on the iPad, and that was screencasts. Record the screen on my iPad or iPhone directly on the iOS device and not using a computer. With an app called Show, you could install that app from an alternative app store because these apps is not available on the real app store because Apple won't allow it. So you don't need a jailbreak, but you need to install it in a quite obscure way. But I did that and the app works well for what is meant to do with it. Before I went all iPad and only used the iPad for all my computing, I used an 11-inch MacBook Air as my main computer. And now I only use that MacBook Air as a media center connected to my HDTV, my smart TV at home. So the family use it for watching videos, playing music and so on, as a media center only, a consuming media device. The iPad is my content creation device and the Mac is my content consuming device now. And as I said in the beginning, I don't miss computers at all. Not at all. I enjoy using just the iPad and my iPhone 6. I don't need anything else. The iPad is so light to have with me everywhere and it starts so fast, so it's very easy to work anywhere. So to me, computers has transformed into a more portable and mobile device like the iPad is. But I'm also sure that this can't be done with an Android tablet. You need an iPad to go post-PC. You can't use an Android tablet, and that is because there is no apps for Android tablets. You don't have these kinds of content creation apps for Android. So if you want to go post-PC, you have to use the iPad. One of the problems I had was how to manage, for example, my Apple community on Google+, the biggest, largest Apple community on Google+, with 200,000 members. How will I manage that with a mobile app that Google has made that doesn't have all the features that the desktop version of Google Plus has? And the same thing was, how will I manage my blog and the blog design, and how will I enter new code into the blog design and the template and all that? And the same thing with my YouTube channel. How do I manage that and change logos and edit about text and all that? But there is a solution for that too, and that is the web browser called Puffin. The Puffin web browser makes this possible to do on the iPad or the iPhone. Puffin uses the cloud to make a desktop user experience for the user on the iPad. So everything you load in and see on the iPad is actually run on a desktop computer. So you get the full desktop user experience on the iPad. So you also even have a trackpad, a mouse pad, so you can have a mouse pointer on the display, so you can do exactly everything you can on the desktop computer. It's even support Flash. You can play Flash games and all that in the web browser. So Puffin is a very, very good app that makes this possible to do. Another problem I had was how to create a YouTube video thumbnail. You know, the image you see of the video before you click play on it. That thumbnail I had to find a way to create in an easy and fast way on the iPad. And I found out that in Apple's Keynote app, it was very, very easy to do these thumbnails. You could choose the same aspect ratio as you have on a YouTube thumbnail and all that. And then it was just drag and drop and change every object on the thumbnail exactly as you want it. So Apple's Keynote was an excellent app for this task. And after creating that thumbnail in Keynote, you just do a screenshot of the thumbnail in full screen mode. So after doing that, you have an excellent thumbnail that you can upload to your video after you have uploaded it to YouTube. And another thing was how to create documents, but that was very easy to do on the iOS devices because I use Markdown instead of rich text formatting. I prefer plain text and Markdown to format my documents. So iOS has a lot of Markdown supported text editors. So instead of using Microsoft Word and Apple's Pages or Google Docs, I use Markdown, and then I use some Markdown text editors on iOS instead. And after typing in Markdown, I just choose which format I want the document in when I'm done with it. And the best app on the market for writing in Markdown is the app called Editorial. No question about it. There isn't any app that comes near Editorial, not even on a desktop computer on any operating system. Editorial makes it so easy to write. It automates many of the things you will do. For example, it auto-links to your blog when you type a specific word. For example, if I type the word Apple, it links to my YouTube playlist about Apple. You can do all these actions and workflows yourself in Python or in JavaScript, or you can go to a workflow directory for Editorial and install workflows from that directory into your Editorial. So Editorial is a very, very advanced Markdown text editor that you can code in Python if you want. It has a complete Python editor built in. So Editorial automates most of the tasks for you when you write. So you don't have to do so much when blogging, linking, formatting and all that. Editorial does that for you. Another app that I use a lot for my writings is called Drafts. And Drafts is a note-taking app that supports Markdown, of course. And in Drafts you can do really advanced stuff too. You can create your own actions so that you write in Drafts you can share to any service, any place. So for example, it's very easy to do a link blog, a daily link blog for example. So you can append your notes to a Dropbox note for example, or Evernote note directly from Drafts. So every note you write you can send to the same daily link blog saved in Dropbox or Evernote for example. And my blog is on blogger.com, Google's blogger service. So it's very easy to use Markdown to blog on Blogger, because when you're done with the post and have formatted exactly as you want with images and all, then just choose copy HTML and then go to blogger.com in a web browser. This time you can use Safari. You don't need Puffin web browser to do this. So open Safari, go to blogger.com and paste in that HTML code as a new post and hit publish. So simple to do. So no need for specific Blogger apps or so on. Just use blogger.com in a web browser and paste the code. And you can do the same thing with a WordPress blog. You can go to a web page to paste the code or use the WordPress app and paste the code in. That's one of the reasons why I use Markdown instead of rich text formatting. Markdown uses plain text and is universal, works everywhere, any operating system and so on. So if you write in Markdown, you can open that file on any device, any computer. So that's the beauty with Markdown. And most of the Markdown text editors has converters built in, so you just choose which format you want the finished article in or document in. So in this case I just choose HTML. And when it comes to creating videos for my YouTube channel like this one, I usually record videos with my iPhone and then airdrop them to my iPad for video editing in iMovie. And iMovie is very good because you can record videos directly into iMovie on the iPhone, and when you have all the videos you need, then you just choose airdrop and you airdrop the complete iMovie project to your iPad. The complete project with everything you have in the project. That's pretty nifty. Lately I have tried to make my videos more like podcast, where I talk in the video, like this one for example, and then add videos and images above my audio. So to do this I use an excellent app called Opinion for the iPhone. In Opinion you can record audio as snippets and then later edit the snippets so you have them exactly as you want them, and then export that audio file as a complete audio file with AirDrop for example. So you can send that audio file to iMovie on your iPad from your iPhone. And then just record video clips and fix some images and so on that you want to have above that audio file in iMovie on your iPad. And when you're done with it, you can just publish it on YouTube. Very, very easy. Being a YouTuber with only an iPad has never been a problem really, because the apps for iOS is so good. We have so many video editing apps to choose from, very professional apps, so that has never been a problem for me when I decided to go all iPad. And I really love to only use my iOS devices for my video creation, recording videos with my iPhone and iPad and edit them on my iPhone and iPad. And now also audio recorded directly on my iOS devices. I really need that way of living as a YouTuber or living in the post-PC era as I do. That is actually one of the things I enjoy the most by being in the post-PC era. Just using my portable devices, my iOS devices, for everything. Being able to be a part-time YouTuber with only my iPhone and iPad, that's kind of amazing really. And when it comes to storing video clips, I use my iCloud drive storage. I have 200 gigabyte of iCloud drive storage, so video clips that I want to be able to use in the future for later use, I just save to my iCloud drive storage. That works pretty well, but when I'm on the move and is out without Wi-Fi, then that could be quite expensive when it comes to mobile data usage. So I need to be careful with that and prepare what kinds of videos I want to do, and when I'm on Wi-Fi, transfer them already to my iPad before I go out and be mobile. I have a 10 gigabyte of mobile data plan, so I need to be careful with these gigabytes, but It usually is enough for me for a complete month. So if you have the privilege, I can highly recommend going all iPad and move into the post-PC era. I'm actually quite sure that most of the people, most of the users can go all iPad. They don't need to have a desktop computer anymore or a laptop. Please note that I say most of the people, not all. I know that some users need to have a real desktop computer and so on, but most people that just use the internet to surf on and paying bills and reading emails and do some other light stuff, and also some people like me that blog and do video editing and creating videos and so on, creating music, you can go all iPad. You can go into the post-PC era. I'm sure of that. Personally, I'm really glad that I did this step in my life. I'm glad that I switched from using computers to only my iPad and iPhone. It feels really nice to know that I don't need computers anymore. And to me, this is the future. You don't need big, large computers in the future. You will only use your mobile devices in the future. I'm sure of that. I think we will see the next step in this already next year from Apple when they release the rumored iPad Pro that will run on more desktop-like apps than we have now. For example, Apple's own Final Cut Pro X and Logic Pro as two examples. And I'm sure that Apple will release Xcode for iOS soon too, so you can start developing on iOS, making your apps directly on your iOS devices. And I think Apple knows this already. They know that the future will look like more like the iPad and not like the desktop computer and laptop. The future will be more like the iPad. And of course I'm talking about the future of computing. So this was the third episode in my new Svartlingcast video show that is more like a podcast where you listen to me when I'm talking. Meanwhile I'm showing you stuff on the display with my videos above my voice. I hope you like them because I like doing them. But I've seen that these episodes doesn't get so many views as my other videos, and those who watch them doesn't watch the complete episodes. They just watch some few minutes of these videos. So hopefully that will change because I don't want to stop creating these video shows, the Svartlingcast show, because I like them, as I said. So please give me some feedback in the comments. I want to know what you think of these episodes in the Svartlingcast show. Okay, bye!